Hello, what about you? You're very welcome. Hit the wee follow button wherever it may be. Now, it is Sunday the 26th of May 2024, which means it's time for... Well, this week that title goes to none other person than Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. For having called a general election for July, I thought I'd get a wee ding in at Rishi before he's gone. As gone, he will most assuredly soon be. With most pundits convinced the election wouldn't be held until the autumn, Rishi shocked everybody by running, and he actually ran out of number 10 to announce a July date. With inflation down to single figures, I think Rishi was in a rush after seeing a minuscule opportunity. So much of a rush was Rishi, he ignored the fact that it was bucketing down.
But this hard-earned economic stability was only ever meant to be the beginning. The question now is how and who do you trust to turn that foundation into a secure future for you, your family, and our country. Now,
to add to the atmosphere of abject desperation, the Labour election anthem, "Things Can Only Get Better," was being played in the background by veteran anti-Brexit campaigner Steve Bray, possibly his most brilliant bit of Tory trolling ever. Rushing Rishi immediately hit the election trail, visiting Belfast with Secretary of State Chris Heaton-Harris, a man who's decided to jump before being pushed, and he will not be standing this time for Parliament. On his whistle-stop tour, Rushing Rishi was in such a rush he managed to dodge the public. Though he did promise money for Casement Park, free ice cream and a Union Flake for every child this coming 12th. Of course, it's easy to make promises when you know you won't be around to keep them. I particularly like the Tory promise this week to bring back national service. I don't know why they didn't go the whole way. Go the whole hog, and also promise to bring back public hangings and the birch. Oh, their right-wing supporters would have loved that. So let's take a moment and take a look back at Rishi's origins. He was the son of a GP and of course went to private schools and Oxbridge. And as a young man was caught in an uncharacteristic moment of honesty when he was asked about his friendship group. And he said this.
I have friends who are aristocrats, I have friends who are upper class, I have friends who are, working class, but I'm not working class, but I mix and match and then I go to see.
Just right. Who wants to have smelly working class people as friends? Rishi went into the city after Oxford, as most nice chaps do, joining Goldman Sachs before becoming a partner in a hedge fund. Already a multimillionaire, Rishi's next step away from the smelly working class involved marrying Akshata Murthy, daughter of one of India's richest men. Last year, the Times Rich List placed the Rishi family wealth at around 651 million. 651 million. Considering this, there were raised eyebrows when it became known that the PM's wife had remained a non-dom, allowing her to avoid paying millions in UK tax. Now, if you will allow me a second to digress, I found it somewhat disproportionate that the Times newspaper and Daily Mail spent weeks hounding Labour's Deputy Leader Angela Rayner for an unproven bill of $1,500 when the PM's wife was avoiding millions in tax. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Back to Rushing Rishi. Having joined the Tories at Oxford, as most nice chaps do, Rishi, having made his millions, decided to move into politics. Right, full time. And being the right sort of chap, quickly rose up the greasy pole, ending up as Chancellor of the Exchequer under Boris Johnson. Now, Rishi's great idea, when he was Chancellor during COVID, was his scheme to eat out to help out, which was an amazing success for undertakers around the country. Now, no doubt Rishi expected to move straight into the top job when Boris was ousted, having been found to be lying about his lies. But no, Rishi came second. The humiliation. This Prime Minister was so shite she almost managed to bankrupt the country within weeks, ending up in her prompt departure on a record as the shortest serving PM in history. With the path now finally clear to the top job because there was nobody else. There was nobody else. What can we say about Rishi's time as Prime Minister? Well, it's been shite. Waiting lists have risen. The price of train journeys have risen, as did the number getting crushed onto the small number of trains still running. Illegal immigration via small boats, well, it rose to 10,000 this week. And the great scheme of Rishi's to relocate people illegally to Rwanda, not one has been put in a plane, even though that scheme cost tens of millions. If the population in the UK needed a physical representation of just how bad things had become, the smell of raw sewage dumped into their waterways and coasts summed up years of Tory misadministration. And don't forget Brexit, one of the most egregious examples of national self-harm ever. Do you know what? But I suspect that it wasn't the dip in interest rates which panicked rushing Rishi into the election. I suspect the sight of rats jumping ship in the shape of Tories such as Natalie Elphicke and Christian Wakeford crossing the floor to join the Labour benches sort of woke him up. Also, it could simply be, he's tired of having to mix with the middle class in the Commons and has decided he wants to sit back and enjoy his hundreds of millions. There could be a positive here, because who knows? Now that he's retired, he may even get time to overcome his antipathy for the working class by having an opportunity to talk to some of them, such as his cook, his housekeeper, his gardener, his chauffeur, his tailor, his bodyguard.